All right, let's talk about the future. Specifically, how we're going to get around over the next 25 years. We're going to dive into a pretty incredible prediction, a timeline really, running from 2026 all the way to 2050. And it paints a picture of a total revolution in transportation, one that's set to completely reshape our world. So let's jump right in. And this, right here, is the key. This single sentence is the big idea behind everything we're about to see. It's a huge philosophical shift. We're moving away from the act of driving, with all the stress and focus that requires, to a world where getting around is as easy and as invisible as data just flowing through the cloud. So, our story starts here, with the first phase. And according to the source material, this is really the beginning of the end for the world as we know it. This is where the car you own today starts its quick, one-way trip to becoming a relic. Okay, now look at this timeline. The thing that really jumps out is just how fast all of this happens. By 2026, we're talking level 3 autonomy, where your car basically drives itself on the highway as just standard. A year later, robotaxis are already up and running in major cities. And by 2032, a central AI is managing traffic so well that it cuts gridlock by almost a third. I mean, that is a breathtakingly rapid change. Let's just pause on this one for a second, because this is the moment it gets real for everybody. The prediction for 2029 isn't just about cool new tech. It's a gut punch to the wallet. It's that tipping point where your gas-powered car stops being an asset and starts becoming a money pit. And when that happens, the entire market just flips upside down. And right on cue, just as the old world of driving is falling apart, the new world starts appearing in the sky. By 2031, that sci-fi dream of flying cars, or more accurately, eVTOLs, is expected to be a real thing. We're talking routine flights connecting airports to downtown, just completely bypassing all that traffic on the ground. So where does all this lead? Well, let's look at the next phase. This is where all those disruptive pieces we just saw come together to form a totally new model for mobility. And it dismantles some really old ideas, like car ownership, and even the very act of driving. And here it is, the big one. The year is 2034, and according to this forecast, the whole idea of owning a personal car just dies. So, you might be asking, if you don't own a car, how in the world do you get around? Well, the answer is this concept called mobility as a service, or MaaS. Think of it like Netflix for transportation. Instead of buying a car, insuring it, and paying for repairs, you just pay a monthly subscription, and that fee gives you access to a whole fleet of self-driving vehicles ready to pick you up whenever you need one. And this table just lays it all out, plain and simple. Gone are the high upfront costs and the headaches of maintenance. That's all replaced by one simple, all-inclusive fee. And instead of owning one car that has to be a jack of all trades, the network sends you the perfect vehicle for whatever you're doing. A little pod for a solo commute, a bigger van for a family outing. And the most important part, you don't drive. The network does. What's really wild is the cultural shift this causes. By 2035, just 1 year after ownership ends, learning to drive is predicted to become, well, a niche hobby. For a whole generation of kids growing up, getting a driver's license will seem as weird and unnecessary as, say, learning how to shoe a horse. But this whole revolution isn't just about making things cheaper or easier. It's about saving lives. By 2041, once you take human error almost completely out of the driving equation, road traffic deaths are predicted to plummet by a staggering 95%. The tragic car accident becomes an incredibly rare event. And that brings us to the final act of this transformation, and this is where things get truly mind-bending. With this new system fully up and running, the very idea of distance starts to melt away, and travel just becomes this seamless, abundant part of our daily lives. By 2042, the whole experience of travel is something we wouldn't even recognize today. Your autonomous pod isn't just a car, it's a mobile third space. It's an extension of your office or your living room. You can work, take a nap, get a workout in, all while you're moving. Travel time is no longer lost time. It's just your time. So what does a long trip look like? Well, by 2044, it's this incredibly smooth AI-managed flow. A self-driving pod shows up at your door and whisks you to a central hub. From there, maybe you hop into an aerial drone for a quick regional jump. That drone could then literally dock with a high-speed maglev train for a frictionless journey across the country. All of it timed and optimized down to the second. And think about the impact on our planet. It's huge. As more of our travel moves up into the sky or underground into things like hyperloops, we just won't need all these endless ribbons of asphalt anymore. So by 2045, we start reclaiming old highways, ripping them up and turning them back into green corridors, forests, and parks. And all of this leads to the ultimate shift in how we think. By 2050, we don't really talk about how far away a place is. That idea becomes kind of irrelevant. The only question that matters is, what's the transport latency? In other words, how many minutes will it take for the network to get me there? Paris isn't thousands of miles from Tokyo anymore. It's maybe 45 minutes away on a suborbital flight. Now, it's really important to remember this future isn't going to be one size fits all. The final piece of this prediction looks at how different parts of the world will take these technologies and shape them to fit their own unique cultures and landscapes. So, for example, Europe is predicted to go all in on public transit and walkable cities. Meanwhile, North America will probably lean into individualism, with private rolling lounges on smart highways owned by big tech companies. In the super dense cities of the Asia-Pacific, they'll build upwards, creating these incredible 3D networks of flying vehicles. And in a place like Africa, they might just leapfrog road building altogether and create a logistics network that is 100% aerial. And to wrap it all up, the source material leaves us with this really big, powerful idea. Now, on the Kardashev scale, a Type 1 civilization is a society that can harness all of the energy of its home planet by making transportation so efficient that it's nearly free in terms of energy and human effort. This whole revolution is seen as a crucial first step toward achieving that incredible level of advancement. And so I'll leave you with this to chew on. For every minute of human history, our world, our cultures, our economies, our very identities have been defined by physical distance. This prediction says that within our lifetimes, that fundamental limit could just vanish. So the question is, what kind of world and what kind of people will we become on the other side?